Hi everyone, very good morning. Welcome back to ITOM Batch 2, day 15. So, how are you doing guys today? It's Friday.
Doing good. Yeah.
I hope I can see some energy today. Tomorrow is weekend. Okay. So as we planned already, today we are going to be cover what we have covered till now. We are going to do some Q&A on those particular things, right? So before proceeding from my side, I just want to check with you guys how much you are able to get it from that, how many you have tried to install the mid servers, try to discover, yes, on Windows machine, what you have learned from the sessions. I just want to hear from you guys first of all. I hope you are able to hear me, guys.
So I was able to install the mid server, Ajay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I haven't honestly done any of the other practice. But I have a question. I missed the session yesterday, but I have a question from day before yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
You had discovered your Windows machine, right? So this may be a
Right.
very basic question, but I still want to
Mm-hmm.
ask. So if I have, and I did that on Now Learning. So if I want to
Mm-hmm.
discover another, let's say Windows laptop that I have got, then I would
Mm-hmm.
have to open up all those firewall policies, right? Like for the Windows 135 port on that Windows machine, correct?
Yes,
Before I
right.
do any discovery, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
so I am going to try that uh, maybe on
Okay, but
Sunday or
but
Monday.
but you are, you are using,
Uh-huh.
you must not be on firewall, because might be you are trying to discover your own machine or your personal laptop, right?
Correct,
So
correct.
that should not be under any firewall, because that you connected to the open internet or the Wi-Fi or the routers, right? So
But
just check.
remember, Ajay, yeah, go
Mhm.
ahead. Go ahead.
Just check from your mid server, wherever your mid server installed on your now learning instance, or on Azure. Just
Yes.
check is that IP which you are targeting to discover is accessible, or ping
Uh-huh.
is its ping is working or not, or the telnet is working or not, right? If that is working, means that firewall is okay, then you can create the credentials, the same credentials which you are using to log in your laptop, personal laptop. Use the same credentials, configure it in the credential table, and try to discover it.
But it wasn't. Remember, I had given you the IP address of my machine, and when you tried to do ping or telnet, it did not come back with a reply. So then what do I do?
Then
Remember,
you
you
have to be
tried to.
right, then you have to be troubleshoot now. So I can help you out. Just try to troubleshoot from your side first of all.
Okay.
How can I, what troubleshooting you can do, right? So you just go to your that particular Windows machine and check the firewall settings. Local
Okay.
Windows machine also have a firewall settings, right?
Okay.
Just check that one, check the RPC is available or active or not, right? Check those, that particular things, right? And see, might be we are using with a different IP, and the laptop, there are two IPs always there, right? One is public IP and one is private IP. Just check with public and private both IPs to be connected, right? So might be that will work
Okay.
definitely,
Okay.
because
Yeah, I will.
couple of times I already did for my laptop, and that's working fine without any issue.
Okay. I will check that out and I will
Yeah.
let you know. If I cannot do it, then I will probably
Sure, definitely.
explain some.
Then we will do definitely a troubleshooting sessions, right? That must be required. So we should also know ki, like what troubleshooting steps we have to follow while we are working or discovering any device, right?
Right.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, anyone else? Harish,
Hi, Ajay.
hi. Have you
Uh,
tried to install or what? Yep.
I've installed a couple of mid servers, Ajay. I don't have a Windows laptop, so I installed them in my friend's laptops, and
Mhm.
it's up and able to. actually finished all your videos actually. So I'm able to finish all of them. And I've tried a couple of them, but couldn't able to discover more. Only the Windows one, and modified the Windows pattern extension section based on community article, and tried a couple of things, a couple of operations in the extension section in the patterns as well. Uh, uh, yeah, I'm able to understand clearly, like based on your videos, clearly understand like identification section. Like all the four phases of the discovery, and all the protocols, like on which protocols Windows, Linux, SNMP devices, and other routers, network devices, how they actually were able to discover all of them. I'm able to get it.
Okay, nice.
My more
So,
lack areas was like CMDB tables. I was trying to get from the CMDB CI class manager, and moreover, I am expecting one thing, Ajay. Like I don't know, like hierarchy of the classes. Like if it is an AWS instance, maybe we can discuss the cloud. When we discovering a cloud discovery in through like AWS or Azure, I don't know what. I only know about Linux machine and the Windows machine can be installed, but I'm not aware of ESX server, what it will do, and load balancers, and like network switches, routers, and in the real like real world or a real scenario, how it will be, like how many network devices we have to discover, what is the use of them in organizations, what it actually will do. If it is like I know if it is a application management application in an organization, if we are covering it, and we created a CI out of it, they will use it for a change request. Like they will, whenever they're trying to create a change request, they'll select that CI. But what exactly
right.
we'll do with these CIs, like with discovered CIs, like if we discover 100 CIs or 1000 CIs, what exactly organization will do them in the real world? Those kind
Agreed.
of things I'm not aware, and I was looking forward for that.
Okay, definitely will help you out. Let's hear from everyone, and we'll go come back to your questions again, right? We'll help out on that. Sumit, have you tried anything? Have you faced any challenge, or it's working fine? What's your thoughts?
No, I have not tried. I couldn't able to get the time to do that.
Oh, Sumit, you have to be try. Okay, why I'm forcing to be try? Because like when you are trying or when you're doing some practicals, you have lots of questions, lots of things, lots of theories, right? So you can ask here and I can help you out. Like Harish, he's tried couple of things and now he have a couple of questions as well, right? So we can help out and everyone can understand the everything related what I'm trying to say basically here. So please try once.
Sure.
Okay, let's move to Sajid.
No, I haven't got a chance to install it. I'll install it this weekend and I'll let you know.
Sure, yeah, no issues. As I mentioned, we should try. Yeah, and Lalit.
So, Ajay, I started off the Discovery Fundamentals on Demand coursework just to
Mm-hmm.
get started. So I was able to install the MIT server, and I reached a stage where I could ping the individual IP and get there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have
Mm-hmm.
to go further down, and I'm pretty sure that by Monday's class I should be able to complete those and get back to you with questions.
Okay, and one more thing, might be if you are using Now Learning, so I hope you install the Mid server from the first step because Now Learning Mid server is already there. We just need to be start the service and need to be validate, right? So that doesn't means to be complete Mid server installation. Just install a fresh Mid server on the same machine with the same instance with the same name, different naming convention.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
Right, so you will get to know like how the steps and procedure will be. Try with the both ways if possible, like through installer or the through MSI or the
Okay,
config file.
sure, Ajay.
Okay, now let's get back to Harish's question. So Harish, basically, if you want to understand a typical IT environment, now I just want to ask you, you are using your personal laptop, right? How that is connected to internet?
Through through the router or
Router, right?
I'm
So
not aware of it, but yeah,
router,
a router.
right?
Yeah,
So the things with your laptop connected through router, and how router get the internets?
it's a wired one, Ajay. Not
Wired one, right? Right. But somehow some service provider are there, through
yeah,
that particular wire you are getting internet on your router, and through router you are connecting through Wi-Fi, or you can connect to cable wire
correct.
as well, right? Now if I say I need to be connect a single router through wire to hundred of machines, what should you do? Because router have only two or three ports, right? Then
Okay,
how you can connect, how you
uh,
can connect with the 100 machines without Wi-Fi again?
okay. Maybe we'll use a switch.
Yes, right. So switch comes in the picture when you connect a switch to a router, and then switch connects to that particular machine which
Let's
you
see.
want to be past the internet, right? That is first thing. Second thing, you ask me the load balancer, right? So how load balancer works and what is the use of it? Simple. Now I let me take an example. Uh, 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 we have a application which have heavy transactions. Let's take an example of ServiceNow as well, right? So on ServiceNow, if a single time on a single time 1000 users are login, how my ServiceNow instance will behave? Because end of the day, ServiceNow is also running on some servers in the backend, right? This is an application or platform which we have installed it. So how that my ServiceNow instance will behave only if on a single time 1000 persons log in and working on it.
It will be very slow and time taking to load.
Right, right. So in that time, load balancer is also here in the service. Now we are not able to see because we don't have the access of the ServiceNow infra, but load balancer is also there. What is load balancing do? In the name, if you see load balancing basically manage the transactions, right? So as I mentioned earlier, there are couple of other ways. There are couple of types of load balancing available in the market, and couple of load balancers provided by the network organizations like Juniper, Cisco, Palo Alto. There are lots of, right? What exactly it is, there are two type of load balancing. One is virtual load balancing, which again you can configure on any virtual network. It can be virtual network, or as well as you can also configure on your Windows machine or somewhere, right? Second is hardware load balancer, where you have to put a load balancer network device and between of your transactions. So let's take an example here. As I already given an example earlier, we are trying to access airtel.com. Okay, now Airtel have lots of services. Like one service is for recharge, one service is for data connection, one service is for bill payments, one service is for Wink Music, one service is for see my statistics, right? So there are five service example. If I have not given anything, anyone come to airtel.com, or in single time 1 lakh user are accessing, right? They are definitely face a slowness issue there, right? So what will happen? We will route the traffic through different load balancers. So once Airtel.com is open internet site, right? Anyone can access it from anywhere. Now I need to know the where the traffic is coming. First thing. Second thing, what they want it, right? Agar if I don't know what and where they want to be navigate, I cannot route clearly, right? So that's why we put the load balancers to balance the load. If anyone searching for XYZ, that will route to XYZ only, not to different things through one transaction or one network mode. The same way, if anyone is trying to ABC, then he will route to ABC. So we are just trying to, in simple words, if I say, if you heard about masking the IPs, right? We are just trying to mask the IPs in the different way. My load is balanced, and now on the load balance side, there are two things. One is failover, where we put to serve a load balancing virtual networks in different locations. By chance my one virtual network is not virtual network is impacted due to any XYZ regions, and we are not able to move ahead. So my second will take it over, right? So as already mentioned in the service, now we have a mid server where we do failover configurations for our load balancing, right? So that will work in that way. If my request comes, first request comes, or all requests served by one virtual network or one virtual network load balancer. And the second is, uh, if my first is down, then other all transactions will move out to my second virtual network. So in market, as I mentioned, there are a couple of organizations providing the load balancer, and there is one topmost organization, F5. If you heard about it, F5 is most most of the organizations which I heard, F5 load balancer they are using. So this is just a technology. This is just a configuration which we have to do on which we have to do on basically on network device to connect it to route that particular traffic, right?
Okay, but
First.
Ajay,
Mhm.
but the load balancer will be both, right? It could be hardware or and software as well.
100%, yes. It
Oh,
could be physical or it could be virtual.
okay, got it. Got it.
Okay.
And
Now. Mhm.
similarly,
Go ahead.
yeah, maybe after this wireless access point, what it will do, Ajay? I had a custom pattern for Aruba once in my
Mhm.
organization, but not sure. I've gone through that OIDs and MIBs as well, how they are added in the classifiers and in the instance as well. But
Mhm.
I'm not sure what actually wireless access points are used for.
Okay, उस पे भी आते हैं. We'll come back to that as well, but let's finish the load balancer one. Okay, so that is one thing. Okay, second thing is in the load balancer side is round robin. Okay, round robin, basically what he do, it will help out to manage your traffic. If you feel here we are getting lots of traffic, let's take an example on ServiceNow itself. you know we know lots of incidents raising by the customers or users on the same time for particular instance. What can I do if my incident, if anyone comes to raise a incident A, so that will go with XYZ network, okay, network path. And if anyone wants to raise second incident, that will go with ABC uh, router, sorry, ABC network path, basically, right? So we are trying to manage the load balancing using the round robin technology, where one transaction will serve by one network, second transaction to serve by second network, third transaction again served by the first network, and the fourth transaction will be served by the second network, right? So and we can add multiple. It's not or one or two we can add multiple, and based on that we can control the traffic, so slowness will not be there. It help out to running things smoothly, basically. I'm just trying to find out, one moment only, load balancing examples to showcase you if we have some data available. One moment only.
Ajay, are you sharing your screen?
Yes, I will share. I'm just looking into my instance if I have some examples for load balancing. Just give me one moment only, and after that I will share. Otherwise, what I need to do, I will create some load balances here in my PDI and will showcase you on Monday. Right. So how load balancing behaviors basically, and how the looks likes of the CI, and I will tell you about the each and everything about on that. Right. So I'm just trying to find out if any demo data available for load balances, but I'm not able to find out here anything like that. Network adapters, network gears. No, I don't see anything related to that. But yeah, I will definitely load some demo data here, and I will showcase you on Monday on that point. Right now, I let's move to the access point. Right. So you are working in an organization. How you are connecting your internet? You are going to be office, right? And you're connecting your internet. How you are going to be connect? Is there any wire provided to you?
Yes, Ajay, it's a wide one.
Wired one, right? And when we are talking about access points are the Wi-Fi points basically. So if you roaming around your floor, you can see couple of device attached on your floor, or put your on your floor on wall of or roof of that particular floor, right? So basically access point is just just give you that Wi-Fi connectivity that connected through the router. Now here we are not using switch. Okay, switch will use in the infrastructure side to wire connections directly, but here that router connects it to access point, and access point give you the Wi-Fi visibility, like Wi-Fi router is here and you can connect it, right? And when you're roaming around anywhere in office, the lots of access point will be there, and which you can use to connect your your laptop or your mobile with that particular Wi-Fi, right? Right. So as you so as you mentioned, there are lots of things on the access side. So couple of organizations access points available like Cisco and some others, and the discovery is not available, right? So in that particular time we have to be create custom class to be discover it, custom pattern to get it in service now. I hope you're getting it right.
I got it.
Yeah. Okay, so can we do some Q&A sessions now?
Sure, sure.
Okay, let me ask one basic question. When we are installing mid server, okay, so what are the prereq for to install the mid server? Anyone? Or I need to choose the name?
I can.
What device you're trying to discover?
Sorry?
The device you are trying to discover.
No, no, no. I'm asking what is the prereq to install a mid server? Mid server installation.
So minimum 8 GB RAM,
Hmm.
100 GB hard disk, and then the
Mm-hmm.
OS should be greater than 2016 for Windows and version 7 Red Hat for Linux,
Mm-hmm.
and 4-core CPU.
Hmm.
That's all I know.
That is the hardware configuration. Thank you. And what about the other prereq?
That we need certification and that access for that, like that role made underscore server. That one we
Mm-hmm.
required for the login and the host name while we are installing that one on that
Mm-hmm.
machine. And then we have to have that means network requirements, means if we have any. So these are the basic things I think is required for the software side.
Okay. Apart from that, to make the connections or to install the Smith server completely, what else we required?
We require that image, that zip file is there, or like we need to go to that command prompt. From there we have to change the location, and then we have to install that mid server from there.
Okay, but still, the one thing which I just want to hear that is missing. Two things basically.
We need
You
to
have to
modify.
download the MSI file on that
Hmm.
host and then
That
install.
that is done, right?
Maybe we need to modify the configuration file where we need to give the instance URL and created user account, whatever the user account we created in the service now instance. And then
Hmm.
in the host machine, we need to create a service account, log on as a service account.
Okay, right. That is missing, right? So we need to create a service account, and that service account should be added as log on as a service, right? So can anyone tell me, like,
Ajay,
where
that service account and the host account is different, like because as I mentioned that like we need the host account also.
host account can be different or the service account can be different. Host
Okay,
account is just created to access or to log in that particular machine.
okay,
Okay, and service account is just for running that particular service, or might be that your host account not part of log on as a service, but service account should be part as a log on as a service.
okay.
Okay, and one more thing, can anyone tell me in the basics things where I need to navigate to create that particular service account step by step? Anyone remember?
Manage user accounts.
Okay, yes. And before that, where we need to navigate, manage user accounts?
We can
Uh,
check it in the start or a control panel. Computer management.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, computer management, right. Okay, now you reach to computer management.
Go
And
to local policies and then user rights assignment.
Hmm.
That's where you
No, 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 no. You
add
messed
user
up.
and then share that means the roles to access that one.
The roles. No,
We have done that user like by adding that you.
no, you're talking about ServiceNow bit server user, right? I'm asking
No,
about
no, no,
service
no,
account.
no. In that same Microsoft lin, when we go under the user, we have to find and then we have to select the user for that account, like with the administrator and other things. Who
Right, right,
can?
right.
Yeah.
Hold on, Sumit, hold on. Before that, we need to create a user. I just want to know how to create a user and how we can give a logon as a service, where we need to navigate.
so you go to computer management and create user right there, and
You
then
can not go you can go directly computer management, but you cannot create directly from user from there. You have to again navigate somewhere. What is that? And what things you have to be take care while you're creating a user for service accounts?
um, uh, for service accounts, password never expires.
Yes, right, right,
But
right.
navigation, I think it was new user or some I'm not aware, but it was on the right side of the window. But one question here, Ajay, I was trying to create on a latest Windows machine. I couldn't able to do it actually. It doesn't have or it doesn't allow me to do that. It doesn't have computer management and new local user something like that. It doesn't have in the new.
So which OS you are using?
It was a greater
Version.
than 10
OS version. No, OS version.
Windows.
No, it's OS version Windows, definitely. Version specific is 2016, 22, whatever.
Maybe latest one, 22, I guess. I'm not aware of it. I haven't.
I think that should be there. No, but I have not tried with 22 yet, but that is a major change if Windows do that, right? So that should not be. Might be just navigation change. That's why I'm specific asking for navigation and all, because if we know how to navigate and where we have to do, and that should be on our tips. Sorry, because I'm always saying on tips, because that are the basic things. I'm not never say to, if you ask to create a pattern that be on tips. No, that cannot be possible. But the basic things is creating users, mid servers, roles, okay, and prereq of the discovery, that on our own fingertips. If that is on our fingertips, we can immediately do that, right? So that's why I'm asking to, how to navigate, where we have to do, because when if you're not installing mid server for a long time, you should forget about how to create a service account as well. This is also happening with me as well, right? So if something is on, we can do it from our side, and we can remember those particular things, basic things, right? That will very helpful, useful or helpful for us as well. Right, so we navigate till user creation. We created user and remove that account never expiry and all, password not to be required to be reset on the first login. That is done. Now user is done. To add logon as a service, where we need to navigate.
Service account.
Agreed on the service account, but before that, where we need to go?
Our instance.
No, you are on your mid server or your Windows server, where you need to go to put or give the access logon as a service. Not remember? Lalit, do you remember?
Not really log on as this.
Okay, let me share my screen to showcase you guys. Not an issue. Let me know once my screen is visible. So let's go to computer management. Is there, right? And computer management, we have to go local users and groups. Under the groups, we can double click and see how many users are there. From more actions, we can create new user. While we are creating new users, we have to be uncheck this one. Okay, password never expire. We have to be check it, and user cannot change the password. User must change login at the next login. Account is disabled. That should be unchecked. If user must change password at the next login, so what will be happening in that case if this is checked? If this is checked, basically, when you set it the service account correctly, but whenever you are going to be use that particular service account anywhere, user need to change the password, and that will not work because password will be changed, or password you have to change it password, and without changing the password you cannot proceed further. So that not required. At the same way in service now as well happening, right? You are generating a user in sys table and sys underscore user table, and you generate a password, and you must require to reset your password before next login, right? So that is not required here. If you do that, it will not be working without changing the password, right? So that's why we are disabling, and we put it to power password never expire, whatever the password we are setting here, right? Now that your user has been created and all, right? So you have, where you have to navigate, you have to navigate local security policy. So local security policy under, you have to go to local policy. I'm also confused now. Local policies, user assignments, and here logon as a service, right? And here you have to add that particular user to logon as a service. From here, just put the name and check the names, and that's all. We have already added ITOM batch to here as well, right? So that is some basic steps which we need to be remembered, right? Now the second question is, you are talking about to config change of the mid server installation, right? What is the file name of which need to be you need to be modify for mid server installation?
config.xml.
Yes, config.xml. XML is not there, but you see config only. But in when you are doing discovery exams, you will see the examples like config.xml or couple of, right? And they are very confusing couple of times, right? So we have to make sure that is config.xml is the correct file. Okay, now we need to be open a port from our service, oh sorry, our mid server to ServiceNow instance. What type of connectivity it is, and which port we require to be open?
Port 443, Ajay, it was only outbound, I guess.
Yes. So it was only outbound connections and the port 443 required to be open. Okay, now, no. Anyone knows the four phases of the discovery?
Yeah.
SCIE. I remember as Supreme Court Internet Explorer. That's what I used to remember.
Sorry, come again.
So I remember it as SCIE.
Okay,
Supreme Court Internet Explorer. It's scan. So it's just the
that,
thing that I remember from it. So it's
that's
scan,
nice.
classify, identify, and explore. So that's how I
Right,
remember.
that's nice. You remind me our old school days, right?
Yeah, you just have to have an acronym.
Nice.
Ajay,
Okay.
I have a question, but regarding
Mhm.
port, is it the same for when we do when we are installing our mid server in any cloud
Mhm.
environment? Do we need to ask cloud admin like to open the port 443?
100%. Basically, not 100%. I'm coming backing on that because your cloud is on cloud again. It's on open internet. Okay, and your service now is also cloud. It is on open internet, right? And both can connect to each other. But now there is a catch because a couple of organizations using cloud, Azure and all, but they have lots of securities. No one can access or connect to anything. Definitely, my suggestion is you just give a prereq that required from cloud mid server to ServiceNow instance port 443 should be open. If it is already open, that's okay. If it is not, then they should open out on the network side as well. Right, but that should be because connectivity, you need connectivity that it they are opening the port, however what they are doing at the backend, you not need to be worry about that. Okay.
Got it.
Okay. So, I just forget about Supreme Court.
Court Internet Explorer.
Internet Explorer. Okay, so that's nice. So, what is happening in the Supreme one? If we are talking about the first phase, what does that mean? What is happening?
Uh, Actually, the Shazam probe which triggered is looking for open ports.
Right. And what happening in the C classification?
uh, when it found the open port uh, and based on the port probes, whatever
Mhm.
trigger, whatever the classifier records are attached to it,
Mhm.
I think it will trigger the the classifier classification records, and then it checks for the matching criteria, classification criteria. I might be wrong
And
in the middle, but this was the order.
and how will he will check the classification?
Uh, Classification based on the returned data from the identification phase or a
Identify
scanning.
how how identification will triggered before the classification.
Yeah, my bad. In the scanning phase, whatever the returned data, it contains the uh, data of that particular device
Mm-hmm. The
based on
one most important things happening in the classification phase. What is that?
it will uh, trigger the protocols SNMP or WMI, whatever the port open, it will trigger
Hmm.
correct classification in the order, mentioned order. If it is like if couple of ports open, whatever the order we mention, in that order our classification uh, probe
Mm-hmm.
will be triggered.
Okay, and apart from that, anyone can add. Sumit, Hasajit, Arati. Okay, the
So,
most.
Ajay,
Yes,
I
go
mean,
ahead.
this might be a little stupid, right? But the way I
Mm-hmm.
remember things is compared with something else, right? I'll take
Mm-hmm.
1 minute to explain the way I would remember things, right? The first
Mm-hmm.
thing is, of course, Supreme Court Internet Explorer. The second thing, the way I remember things is, so I think about Indian census, right? So when the census of the population is going on, someone knocks at your door to see if you're there or not. That is the
Mm-hmm.
scanning phase. The door opens, right? That's
Right.
C. Classification, male or female. That's C for me. Scan is
Mm-hmm.
done, classification is done, identification. Who are you? What is your age? And all this is identification. And E,
Mm-hmm.
exploration is about, hey, you're all there. Do you already exist, or you have to be entered into the database of the population? Is how I remember things.
Okay, but you know that last thing which you mentioned, the exploration was is not correct, right?
Right,
So
right, right.
that is happening in the identifications only if that is already available in the database or not, right? In the exploration phase, we are trying to explore the other things related to that how.
Related, right.
Right, exactly. So, we get that normal attributes, but in the exploration, we are trying to find out their relatives, how that is connected to each other, what he knows, how many properties he have, basically how many wealth he have, how many cars he have. We are
Right,
trying to explore those particular things, and we'll try to create relationships,
right.
right? So that is happening in that exploration phase. But again, in
Exploration.
the classification phase, there is one more important things will be happening. If that is failed, we cannot reach out or we cannot move to the next step. That is credential check, right? So once classification is triggered based on the sesam probes or port found, it will check the credentials. It will trigger the classification probes, and then it will move to our credential table to check out how many credentials are available for that particular probe. If it is a Windows, then it will try the all Windows credentials based on the order available there. Or if we put some specific mid servers as well, based on that as well, whatever the filter criteria we have applied on the credentials table, it will try to check those particular things, right? And if it is not found any Windows credentials, definitely it will give an error and it will not move to the next step. But if it is found it will also give a credential ID to classification input queue, as well as if already that particular CI is discovered with any existing credentials, that it will go to the credentials affinity as well to check that, right? And it will not try to other credentials, it will check with the credentials affinity and just discover that particular machine if it is working fine. So that is the important thing. Now the third thing is identifications, right? So it's tried to discover that basic attribute, but what others will happening in the identification?
If the
And that
CI
Mhm.
exists, doesn't exist, it'll create it. If it exists, it'll update.
Right. So how he identify that CI is already available, or he needs to be create, or he needs to be update?
Identification entries.
Sorry,
Uh,
come again.
Identifier entries.
Yes, so it will trigger the identifier entries to check what is and how he need to be identified. Identifier entry is something we can configure it. Based on that, we need to be try to detect that particular machine is already available or not, right? Or on which criteria. There are a couple of criteria we can put it, like serial number, MAC address, network configuration, and network serial number type, host name. We have couple of things, and that we can also modify based on the requirements. Like if we can understand, we need to be understand the terminology, and we need to be understand the uniqueness of that particular CI, which based on that we have to be create that identification section. And if that's something matching with that particular entries, particular identifiers, it will not create a CI. If it is not matching, then definitely it will create a new CI.
So Ajay, over here I have a question, right? So
Mm-hmm.
this particular step, the identification part of it, is it
Mm-hmm.
same as IRE engine?
Yes.
So we in this class we never discussed the word IRE. So if you could explain a little bit of,
Yes,
I see
definitely.
job descriptions that says experience on IRE. If you could expand on that, please.
Definitely,
That comes
definitely.
as part of CMDB, right, Ajay?
Right. I'm moving out to, because we are about to finish. There are 3 or 4 sessions, 5 sessions basically to be for, because we have discovered. Now we just move out to the pattern side, and we are going to be configure or troubleshoot the patterns like extension sections and other things, how we can create the custom pattern. Then we'll move out to the CMDB, right? Because to go into the CMDB, we just have some data, right? That I'm trying to do. So now we have data. Now we will move out to the CMDB, and we are going to be discuss about each thing, like how we can create custom classes, how we can do IRE, what is the other things we can do, how we can put the precedence rules if we have two different sources. Each and everything will be there in the next classes.
Okay, thanks.
That is in my plan, definitely. If you were able to see my screen, yeah, come here. On that will basically we are running slow. We need to be complete on day 18, but we are already on day 15, so I think that will start on day 20 or approx, right? So see, CMDB overview, all CMDB things is there. It's for 3 4 days.
So when you talk about CMDB, Ajay, would you also talk about the data model and give us little details on how
Definitely,
the whole?
definitely, definitely 100%, because without data model CMDB is nothing.
That is the CSDM, right? When you say data model.
No, CMDB data model is different and CSDM is something different. So we will discuss about the CSDM as well. But once we will finish the CMDB and discovery, after that we'll start the CSDM, because CSDM comes in the picture when you want to be implement the complete ITOM solutions, right? So we'll discuss on that as well.
Ajay, on that, my understanding is CSDM is a methodology, CNDB is actual physical database.
Right,
So,
right. So I definitely agree, because CSDM is just a logical components and methodology where you're just to map that particular tables with that particular data correctly, right? But CMDB is actual data where you are storing the complete data. It's a database basically. Definitely agreed.
Ajay,
So,
I have a question regarding the identification rules.
mhm.
How it will be in the demo instance or in the demo data? Usually, we see most of the tables will were child tables of hardware, and they all use hardware identification rule like serial number type, those things.
Mhm.
Like in
Mhm.
based on your experience, do we need to customize very often these identification rules or identifier entries, or in the real examples or real time scenarios?
Now, so let's, if we have started already this one, let me give you a background on it. Right. So basically, my child tables always part of a parent table, right? So example, my Linux server, Windows server, or whatever, right? It's part of hardware table. When we are discussing about the CMDB hierarchy or CI class hierarchy, we'll discuss about on it, right? But everything have some unique, like if I ask you to you, Harish, what is your unique name? Might be, name Harish Babu will be lots of, right? But Harish Babu plus the date of birth of Harish might be one or two in all of world, because that should not be possible, right? And if it is also possible, then we have to go a little bit down. Harish Babu, then date of birth and his father name. That could not be possible, right? So we have to couple of times to dig down to understand what is the unique attribute we can place on identify ACI. Most of the time when we are doing a normal or typical data centers, we should not do modification in identification side. But when customer comes you and he's mentioning about the duplicate CI, first thing. Second thing, he's mentioning you that is something new class or new CI, which you have to be discover, you have to be create the patterns and all. In that case also you have to be define the identification, right? But apart from that, what I feel, whatever service now put it, it's his best things, right? But again, it depends customer to customer as well. Couple of times, customer have not the correct data or not the correct values, right? He's not using the correct naming conventions. So then we have to be modified, definitely. And customer is not following the best practices while onboarding any CI in their data centers and all, right? So if they are not following the things at that their side, we have to be corrected at ServiceNow side, couple of things, or we have to be pushed to customer to be modified at their side as well, because it's a ongoing activity. So discoveries or CMDB is not like that you just build it and it's working fine all the way, right? It's always ongoing. It's going for a very long, and you have to be modified based on the requirements, the identification rules. So in identification, basically, let me showcase you one moment. Yeah, shit here. So if you go here, CI class, CI class manager, and you mentioned, that rule is working on that parent table and that is extended to child table, that is there. But if you want to create a specific rule for your child table, you can also do that. There's no issue with that.
Ajay, here when we create a specific rule for our child table, will the parent rule will be executed first and then it will come to child, or
No,
quickly
no,
child?
no. It depends. It depends basically. So let me showcase you. I am on that Windows server. Let me go to Windows. Okay, because that is a child of. Now you can see the hierarchy. The first things comes CMDB, configuration item, then hardware, then computer, under server. The Windows server is there, right? So if we go CMDB have 3580 CIS, 407 in hardware itself, computer we have 1360, 382 in server, and Windows server are 180, right? So if I go to Windows and if I go to identification, now you can see this is independent rule which is applied to hardware table. Okay, now you can replace it completely. If you don't want to be use independent, you want to be use dependent rule, you can configure it that as well, right? Identifier for hardware, we can replace it. It's independent one, we can put dependent, and that will apply to my Windows table only. Okay. Second thing, we will discuss a little bit deep on that side because we are running out of time now, but I just want to showcase you, there are the identifier entries. Now you can see that is running on hardware table, priority 75 and the correlation ID. So first, when my discovery identification section triggered, that will check the CI correlation ID on hardware table. So example, if I open CMDB underscore CI underscore hardware dot list. Again, I'm just opening that, using the shortcut, but you can also open from the hardware. If you see here, if you navigate here, you can open, hardware is there. No. Is the hardware? I think the shortcut, or that's, that is not, module is not created here, but hardware we can also see from the CMDB CI table, right? We can create that one. So that is my hardware table. Here is one attribute. Correlation ID. So it will on the, it will check for specific group by class. Windows server, where is my Windows? Yeah, so it will, the first, when identification or identifier entry triggered, it will check the correlation ID first of all on the hardware table, because they put it specifically for hardware table. Now it doesn't means they will check for Windows server, they will check for complete hardware table. If the correlation ID is there, then it will try to update the existing CI. It can be possible the hardware, sorry, correlation ID match with this Linux server, right? So let's take an example. There is a correlation ID here is 123, right? And the out when you're running Windows Server Discovery, you found 123 correlation ID is already there. So might be possible it will update or change the class of the Unix server. Getting my point? So there is one module in ServiceNow itself to update or modify, or to know, I'm just forgetting the name. There is one action which we called, let me tell you later. So we can also do that. So it can be possible it will update the existing class as well, whatever you are discovering now. That can be also possible when you discovered on the first day it was a Linux server on the same IP, but now that has been changed, right? And now it's changed to Windows Server. OS has been reinstalled on it, and now it's Windows Server. And now IP is also, IP is all again the same, right? And but they missed to change the correlation ID at their side while they are working on the configuration, right? So correlation ID same, and it will update the existing server only. It will not create new because it's find out, right? The same way it in hardware table, it will check product instance identifier. There's one more attribute, and these correlation ID and product instance identifier are recently updated, identifier entries on the hardware table. Earlier that are not there. Earlier we have serial numbers, serial number, name, and the MAC address. That is only there. You can see the combination now here in the serial number, and it's not looking for the hardware table. It's looking for the serial number table. And the priority is 100 and looking for two things. One is serial number and the serial number type. And now here, if I go and let me open open a new tab. Okay, we have discovered something, right? One moment only, guys. I just want to be showcase you something. Filter out. This. When you are discovering a CI, it will also populate serial number and serial number type. If you see here, this one, and that data is going to be stored in serial number table itself. If I open this one, right? So here serial number, it's valid, or what is serial number type? So when you are discovering the CI again, it will not check on the hardware table or Windows server. The data is stored in the serial number table, and that this table, and that he will go to check combination of the serial number and the serial number type, and it try to validate it's the correct CI. Is the CI is already there? If no, then it will create it simple, or otherwise it will update the existing one. Getting my point, guys? So we can, as I mentioned as an example, Hari's name can be one, but Hari's name and date of birth will be two. But if that is also there on two also there and duplicacies will happening, we can also add one more combination, Hari's date of birth and father name, right? So based on that, that particular cycle will work to identify. It's for serial number on hardware table directly, right? The name on the hardware table, network adapter. We can also check with the MAC address or name as well. We can also put other, attribute as well, IP address as well. We can, if you want to put. So name, MAC address or IP address, most of the time it will be unique. If, they are following the infra guidelines to create their CI or, in on their infrastructure or on their data center. We have
So Ajay, on this, right? Is this the borderline kind of a thing between ITSM and Sam and Ham?
Mm, what do you mean by borderline, basically?
I mean, because the CMDB is populated, and that will be used by Sam and Ham
Definitely,
module.
it should be, that should be because, if your data is not correct, if data is lots of duplicates, if it is not updated properly, there's no useful. While we are investing lots of money or lots of efforts to be make CMDB successful. Right. So because now, the first thing which asked by Harish, okay, I'm not able to understand why the CI is populating. What is the use case of it? I've simple given an example. If you don't aware about your infrastructure on your data center, you cannot find out where is the issue, to whom I need to reach out. If you have 100 team people and 100 laptops, I don't have an issue. You don't require to be service now to purchase, right? But you have thousands of people, thousands of laptop, thousands of application is working. If that's why, there in organizations they have couple of LOBs. That's why in organizations they have couple of different team, they are supporting to each other, right? If that is not, if you don't have let's take an example, you are new in organization and you are an application manager for XYZ. You are working, you already worked on the service now, but now here in organization you are application manager, which is worked on the application uptime only. You need to be ensure my application is 99.999% up. Somehow immediately your application is down. To whom you reach out? You don't know anyone, right? So if you know that complete mapping available in the CMDB, you log into service now, you try to find out your application, you will see how many application service under it. Then you will try to find out what are the CIs and who are the owner of that CIs, who are the support team of the CIs, right? You can immediately reach out. You can immediately reach out if any alert or event is running on that one to that support team to resolve it. You can reach out to event management team. You can jump in, major incident management call to showcase, that I am trying to find out and I need to be connect all those particular team and that CI is impacted. So it will help out to overcome your burden. It will help out to, resolve your issues on the as much as possible. I've couple of times I've given an example. I'm not taking the name of that particular client, but I worked on a client as a NOC team lead earlier. Okay, you can't believe we are getting 50, 60 P1 incidents per month. Okay, and after service now, CMDB or discovery or the service mapping or event, we reduced that incident to 2, from 60 to 2. See, right? Why? Because it takes time. It's not like, we implemented in the single day or it's working on the single day. It reach decreased to the 2. It will take maturity. It will take 1 year, but we decreased it to 2. You can't believe that, right? Earlier, my application is going to be down lots of time. Business impact is lots of, but now it's not, right? The things are going smooth. My business is not impacted. How we did it? We did it on through ServiceNow only. And now after that, we think about, let's do automation. Couple of times what will happen when any request comes from any user for anything, like modifications of access control list, or you need a server, or you need, so any person, like I'm also, if I'm doing anything by mistake, it can be some issue on that, right? It's not working properly, or I did something wrong, right? If I did something wrong, it will, it will hamper the issues, or it will impact the other users as well. So things are moving to automation side as well. We automation in that way, we just need to write a code or script or steps, and automatically that will go to that particular server, and we can modify, or that particular, or that service now is able to do anything or everything. I'm working on that side now, on the cow, cloud automation and orchestrations basically. So anything or everything will achieve it. We just need to understand the process. We need to understand a goal, where what we have to be reached out, and how much time we need to be complete to that, do that. Okay, I hope I'm not going to be bored you guys. So that's all for today. Any other last minute question?
I have one question, Ajay. Ajay,
Yes.
do we need to know, apart from service now, do we need to know anything for from the network side, like in the port?
If you know, वो कहते हैं ना, sorry I'm using Hindi, if you know, that is सोने पे सुहागा. If you don't know, that's, I feel it's not required, because if you know, your life will be little easier. You no need to be depend on that complete network side team, right? You can help out to troubleshoot them and fix your issue as soon as possible. If you don't know, if you know your service now things, you have to be depend on that, and whatever they are saying, you have to be believe on their words only, right? You cannot do counter on it. Getting my point?
Got it, Ajay. Yeah.
Right. So in now words, what I feel, counter is must required. Right. If you know something, you can reach out to them, and you're not doing in this correct way. That should be, might be this way, and lots of documentation as well. If I'm not saying you know each and everything, but you can try to find out the steps, things on the documentation. For everything, documentation available on the internet. Just try to see what they are doing, what they did wrong, and the basics things, whatever must required is also available on the ServiceNow documentation as well. So it will be good if we know. If we don't, we just need to know the process and all. That's it. Okay, any other questions last minute? Everyone is good. Then I think I'm also good, guys. Thank you. We'll meet you on
Thank you so much.
Monday. Happy weekend.
Ajay, can you just stop the recording then?
Yeah, sure.